Okay, so this is my video reaction to Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. I really love this play. This is my second time reading this. I read this in high school for my dramatic literature class. What I like about this play now is that I did not have the perspective of the big other when I read it the first time. But that concept, I feel like, is really at play in most of this play. There's this sort of concept of illusions that both couples are engaging in, while George and Martha really don't pretend to be a happy working marriage. They pretend other things and make up other things like their son, which is a point of contention between them most of the time. I think George even calls it a bit in the beginning of the play. But the son is made up for them to be able to fight with each other because they don't let themselves actually let their real emotions ring true. And I think Martha at one point even says, we cry all the time. Yeah, I cry all the time, but deep inside so no one can see me. I cry all the time. And Georgie cries all the time too. We both cry all the time. And then what we do, we cry, we take our tears, and we put them in the icebox, in the goddamn ice trays until they're all frozen, and then we put them in our drinks. So alcohol is both a way for them to mask their emotions, and also let themselves feel it and attack each other. It's accomplishing both. The issue, right, is that they need other people to be able to fling these insults at each other. And there's this idea of like competition, which speaks to the American dream, not so much in the aspect of how one's job lays into it, which I guess George and Nick have that going on in terms of their goals within their departments. Nick is really basically a parallel of a young George. But really this is the aspect of the white picket fence, man and a woman, 2.5 kids, right? And a dog. And neither couple has kids, but that's sort of an issue between both of them, right? Nick and Honey only get married because Honey got pregnant. And similarly, like there's the aspect of the made-up son for George and Martha, where maybe they feel obligated or expected to have a child because it's what you're supposed to do in a marriage, but they're sort of children themselves. The big other really begins to play an aspect in moments like the gun scene, where to the audience and to everybody but George, that is a real gun. It is a real gun the entire way up until it shoots out an umbrella. And that moment and image really speaks to the play with illusion and basically sleight of hand that all of the characters are doing. Nick and Honey are pretending to have a good marriage that works, and George and Martha pretend, one, that they have this son. George pretends that he's intellectual and smart and attacks others for not being intellectual and smart, like in the beginning of the play when he's making fun of Nick for trying to understand the art piece, when George is really himself concerned about his intellect, which speaks to Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, which is both, I think, about the fact that Virginia Woolf really focuses on the emotion and thoughts of characters through her stream of consciousness writing. Like in Mrs. Dalloway, it's entirely stream of consciousness, and also it's feminist, right? I mean, it's Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, right? It's about Virginia Woolf is mainly about the inner experience of a woman, of privileged women, right? I was in the author studies of Virginia Woolf and Toni Morrison, and the differences between the two are that Virginia Woolf really focuses on the introspective, privileged white woman, and Toni Morrison focuses on the flesh of the female body and of particularly African American women. So Virginia Woolf, like, this is really speaking to who George is afraid of and who even Martha is afraid of to a certain extent. Because at the play, she says that she's afraid of Virginia Woolf as well. She sort of utilizes the neoliberal idea of feminist, of like owning your sexual body as a form of, you know, flipping that power, the way that you are objectified, becoming a way to empower yourself. But even then, she begins to become disappointed with the way that she utilizes that. And in a lot of ways, the way that that's concept is applied today is through capitalism and selling makeup and making women feel like they have to be sexual in order to be powerful, which is sort of doing a full 180 again, and sort of coming back into the realm of objectification of women, even though it was supposed to be a tool of empowerment. Yeah, I liked this play. I understand that they're bad characters, but they're not afraid to say it, like a lot of these other characters that we've read are. Like, everybody in Long Day's Journey into Night, they're all also pretty awful. I think we understand their intentions more and understand their motivation. I think George and Martha, because they're so focused on like trickery, like, I think it might be harder for audiences to empathize with them more, but I don't know, they feel like some of the more real characters that we've seen. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Yeah. I don't know.